Hello.
Hi.
It's Benny and Amanda. We are winding down our last couple days in England, and we're a couple videos behind, so we're just doing the best we can. We're enjoying ourselves, and so sorry, Mom.
Our audience
Our
of one.
audience of one. We are currently in Glasgow, but we are going to tell you about our trip through the smack
North.
dab middle of England, because we were in Birmingham when we last left you on this journey. We were in Birmingham, and
You see how he's already picking up the accent?
yeah, very terrible. We rented a car. We drove from Birmingham to Sherwood Forest because, listen, we are red-blooded Americans and we make a living, loving Robin Hood where we come. And I mean, it's pretty cool. They have all sorts of. Who would you compare Robin Hood to somebody back home? Like Wyatt Earp, kind of. It's like there are like a lot of myths and
like tall tales.
Yeah, although Wyatt that's more recent,
Yeah.
but something like
if
that.
Wyatt Earp and Billy the Kid were the spirits, like Robin Hood's like the spirit of the forest, and so
Yeah,
maybe
the spirit of the Wild West.
the spirit of the Wild West was just like a rolling tumbleweed, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. That's Wyatt Earp.
Yeah. I don't know who that would be in our lore, but it's just like it's really
It
cool.
glamorizes outlaws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Give him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give him back.
We could use that.
Uh,
So anyway, we went to Sherwood Forest. I didn't really know what to expect. Coming from our, like we talked about watching Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, to kind of get ready for it. I just have a vision of it's spooky and dark and scary, and
that there would be actual outlaws there to rob us.
Yeah, Robin of the Hood.
And mostly there were children there wearing a lot of cute little felt hats.
I should have gotten one.
Running perilously fast with bows and arrows. with
true.
With very tired parents pushing strollers.
I'm gonna be honest, they are pushing wooden swords here in England like nobody's business.
We will probably end up buying one. Like Ben's self-control only can put up with so much.
No. I wanted to buy real swords because they had real swords at Dover Castle, and you said I couldn't fit it in my backpack.
It's also not a fit issue. Can you imagine? Like we're gonna be.
I can. Oh, you weren't done.
At the end of this stretch, we're going to be taking another flight. And when we check your bag,
don't mind my broadsword.
Do you have anything to declare?
First,
yes.
Pack this. Then I'll teach you to pack this. Okay, sorry. Anyway.
So no souvenirs.
Yeah, we
of the weapon variety.
We picked up a few, but it's small things because it's a longer trip. Anyway.
They're mostly
we saw Robin Hood. They had a really cool little statue of Robin Hood. We walked and saw one of the ancient oaks, which ancient is after. We saw the major oak, one of the ancient oaks. There are about 1,000 ancient oaks, which are 400 year or older oak trees that are in Sherwood Forest, and there's over 1,000 of them. That's mind blowing.
They were talking about the root system of this particular oak tree. It reached out to a picnic area that was probably at least.
It reached out another 10 to 20 feet past its own like branches. Mm-hmm. It's and they kind of roped off where you could stand because they were saying because they reached so far that when people would walk around the base of the tree, they were like trampling the roots. So
it's
incredible,
the soil around
really cool. And so that's kind of like the main thing you go to see when you're there, but you kind of walk through the woods to get there. So that was pretty cool.
The major oak itself had like some kind of fungus growing in it originally, which hollowed out the trunk. Happened to a lot of trees in Sherwood Forest, made it really optimal places to hide for outlaws.
Yeah.
And
or hide stuff in it.
In this case, you had, if you were just sort of a common person trying to feed your family like you would see on like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, you would get in trouble for just like shooting a deer on the king's land without the king's permission. So often hunting was saved for nobility, and when common people would just hunt for their livelihood, they would get penalized for it. So hollow trees were a great place to store a deer
Goods.
carcass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sherwood Forest was really cool. We had a nice little meal there. We walked around for a little bit.
At
But we
the
kinda had
entrance to Sherwood Forest, there is a bakery devoted to service to dogs.
Oh, yeah.
They serve dog ice cream.
We've seen a few of those.
I feel like it's important to share with other dog.
We're going to tell Sherman all about it when we get home.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, why didn't you take me? And we're going to say, you're 2 pounds too heavy. So...
Can you imagine if somebody said that to you?
It's just the rules. I didn't
take you on the vacation of a lifetime because you're 2 pounds too heavy.
I didn't write the rules.
Yeah.
He's living his best life either way.
Yeah, you're gonna break his little heart.
I might. I'm sorry. He doesn't know English. He knows Scottish. So we had like the biggest plan of the day was one big part of the trip was we wanted to go see Hadrian's Wall, which is Q history.
Oh, I give the history.
Well, you're the history professor.
Hadrian was a Roman emperor during Roman rule in Britain. He facilitated the. Sorry, I'm losing my words. He facilitated building a wall, kind of like where. If you look at a map of England, like we're in a very narrow part of the island of Great Britain.
I know it ends in Newcastle. I don't know where it starts on the other side.
And
maybe Liverpool.
The way that it doesn't seem like it was ever like truly completed either. And then even I think a successor to after Hadrian, they built a wall even further north. So Hadrian's Wall was not only to keep the Scots out. But to keep the Romans in, it was a way to kind of control
always get your tax money.
Commerce, so to funnel people through access points so that they could be properly taxed for anything that they were bringing in. Antonin's Wall, which is farther north, was definitely more of a defense. It
actually goes through Glasgow, I think.
Right. Yeah. Maybe we'll see it.
Maybe.
But it was to keep the Scots out. The Scots, the Gallic people, really gave the Romans a run for their money, and ultimately was a big part of why Rome retreated from the island of Great Britain.
Don't mess with the Scots.
But we drove.
So I wanted to go to a particular stretch of the wall because we discussed this before. One of my favorite movies is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There's a very famous scene where, even though it is geographically incorrect, they like land at the cliffs of Dover and then they're like walking to Robin Hood's home, and it's like almost 70% across the country to end up at Hadrian's Wall. But they're like Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman, or Robin of Locksley and Hazim. They are like walking on the wall, and there's a beautiful big sycamore tree, kind of looks like it's growing almost out of the wall, and it is right immediately next to it. And so it's just a great scene and beautifully shot, and it's the first time like Robin Hood kind of bests some of the Sheriff of Nottingham's men, and it's a great scene. So it was like something I was telling man, I never thought I'd see in my life, but I thought, this is the chance. So that's why we rented the cars to go see the wall, do like as much as we could kind of on our own. And
it's like in a beautiful kind of like pastoral, like grazing area and like public land and lots of wildflowers and like
it was like a beautiful day. There was a like a little lake right next to it, lock, whatever.
And we probably hit it almost magic hour, like
it was very close.
Golden hour. It was just the best time to take pictures.
Well, there's a great line from the movie where Hazim is trying to pray towards Mecca and is looking for the east, and he's like, "Is there no blessed cursed sun in this country, in this cursed country, or whatever?" Because it's like, and even as we were there, we were like looking around, and it's like.
It's very overcast.
Yeah, it was hard to even tell which direction was which, but it was still it was beautiful. It was very English. It felt very English.
It's sort of
and there were cows
wall,
and sheep, and
it's very, very hilly, so the wall kind of like follows
straight up
the curves of the landscape, and so you have this really big climb and all these like stone steps that are pretty precarious, and then at the valley of the wall is Sycamore Gap. So you're sort of rewarded with a really great view after your scramble to the top.
Yep.
And it was just cool. There, in addition to the wall, you can kind of see the outline of some kind of fort-like buildings.
They're like mile posts, essentially.
Yeah.
And we wanted to go to this one kind of the best preserved Roman fort, and we just didn't make it. Or we could have made it, but not spent nearly enough time. And so I guess we'll just have to come back one more time or 100 more times. But we continued on after that, and we met our friends Mark and Jillian for dinner at a fantastic like Greek restaurant in Morpeth.
It was so good.
And we got to hang out with them, catch up, and then we were like walking down the street about to go back home and go to bed, and we heard some music. So we went in and heard this really great band that was playing at like jet engine sound
I think my ears
volume
are still
levels.
ringing
It was
from that show.
they were so good, which is why I was like, somebody just
turn it down a little bit.
They were on 14. There's 11, and then there's 14.
What kind of blew my mind is like there were
blew my ear.
Tables even closer to the stage.
Immediately adjacent to the speaker, and that this was their face was like they looked like is it BMG where the guy's like in the chair just getting or like Dolby or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was really great. The dinner was great. Spending time with them was great. And then in the next video we're gonna we'll tell you about we had a house concert with them, so but that's not technically the day we're talking about now, so don't.
I was just gonna put them in context, but we'll just save it.
Oh, well, we played a house concert with them 4 years ago when we were here, so it was nice to see them again, and you should tune into the next one and find out how it went. Bye bye.